Welcome to Feisty Chess. I've got white against Valery numbers on wheat chess, and we've got a Sicilian Defense. Okay, it's been a while since I played this in an actual game, my Morra Gambit. Let's see how Valery responds. Well, he's responded so far by leaving the game. Let's hope he comes back. I love Smith Morra Gambits, especially when they accept. After takes, which is, yeah, going to be played, there's c3, just giving up a pawn, planning to recapture on c3 with the knight, and to enjoy my lead in development. And there's so many fun lines in the Morra. There's so many king attacks on the king in the center. Okay, here we go. Let's hope Valery accepts. But unfortunately, he's also got d3, a really super boring way to decline. There's other ways to decline, like d5 and knight f6, and also e5. But Valery has accepted. Kudos to you, my friend. We're going into Morra territory. We are jumping the shark. Well, not really. Knight c6 is the main move. We just get our pieces out. It's pretty simple from here. Well, it's not simple. But this knight will almost always come to f3. This bishop will almost always come to c4. And we'll castle. Those are usually our next three moves. So here for black, e6, d6, these are all good moves. Against either one of them, we're going to play bishop c4. Valery's connection seems to be a little shaky. That's all right, as long as he keeps coming back. Okay. This is the Scheveningen type structure. Black takes a modest position in the center on the 6th rank. He's blocked in his bishop, but he's letting this one out. Presumably the knight will come to f6, the bishop will come to e6, e7, or he could go for a6 to prevent knight b5 lines. Those are all good moves for black here. Queen c7 might be possible too. If queen c7, I think we want to hit the queen immediately with knight b5. Or we can immediately line up against the queen with bishop f4. Or drop the bishop back. Or play queen e2, guarding the bishop. All those look good. I don't think queen c7 is a very popular line. Okay. Here we go. This is the main line. Old Betty. Can he go knight f6 immediately here? Yeah, he goes knight f6. Oh, hopefully, if Valery returns. There's a Valery here in Iowa, Russian master who is currently at the top of the standings for the state championship. I played him a couple times. He plays the Sicilian as well, and I played him in a couple of different Morras. Never quite got his number, but came close once. A6, okay. So that's a good move, but it gives me an extra time, extra tempo to play this. And now he should go for e5 before knight f6. And if he plays knight f6, we'll be able to show you why, but the point is I get to play e5. Okay, and then now the queen comes to c7, and we want to line up against her. We'll continue to get all our pieces out. So we're fully locked and loaded here. We got maybe one more developing move to play with a rook. We get our rooks running on the C and D files. Those are the Morra rooks. Just every piece in the Morra is optimized. It's dynamite. I love it. Now maybe he wants to play e5. But I think, do I go bishop g5 or bishop e4 there? I'll have to see. If e5... Okay, he goes knight f6. I think this is a mistake. No, this is okay. This is okay. I just need to play rook c1. It's almost always good to line up your rook against the queen. It's one of those principles in chess that is strong. There are not many exceptions to that. And if there are, they're going to be very concrete, tactical kind of exceptions. So there's three pieces in between the rook and queen presently, but after bishop b3, I'll be threatening to play something like knight d5, and that's how this the system of the Morra often goes. Okay. My opponent may be losing critical time to disconnections. Okay, we're firing on all cylinders here. And after black castles, I'll probably play bishop b3, get one step closer to my plan here. Now I'm wanting to play knight d5. I think I've remembered this right. And the idea is, it's not really a sacrifice. As long as his queen is on c7, if he takes, I take back with the pawn, and I'll be winning this knight back. And maybe the pawn back, but probably at least a positional edge if I don't win the pawn back. And in the meantime, his bishop doesn't have any place to go, so maybe he wants to play, e5 at this point. But then knight d5. No, that's no good. Then probably bishop g5, and I'm ready to take away the knight which defends d5. I've read Mark Esserman's book, Mayhem in the Morra, and this chapter 3 or 4, I think, Scheveningen's Part 2. He cites Grandmaster Matulovic as really the master of this variation. And I know that the Morra Gambit has been called at some times, or in some places, the Matulovic Gambit. Matulovic, maybe is how you pronounce it. But anyway, I remember his name in conjunction with this idea, knight d5, and the pseudo-sacrifice knight d5. A lot of times, knight d5 is a real sacrifice in the Morra. It's a winning sacrifice, but it's a much more complex. You don't just immediately get the piece back. But in this case, it's easy to find, because you get the piece back immediately if he should accept the sacrifice. Okay, poor Valerie is losing a lot of time here. Okay, let's go for it. And if he tries to, say, queen c7, well, there's a number of winning moves, I think, at that point. There's knight b6, which looks pretty crushing. Rook takes here, and he can't recapture because then knight takes check, and I'll win in exchange. I'll win 3 pieces for a rook and a knight. So he goes for it. I'll be picking up this knight with pressure on the c pawn. His bishop can't develop here where it maybe would like to. Probably bishop g4 makes sense here. He can't break the pin without either losing the pawn, like a queen to b8, and then I can at least come back, take that pawn. I might have something better. Or break the pin this way and block in his bishop. Okay, he wants to abandon that knight. And I shall take with the bishop, I believe, maintaining the pressure on c6. I can even play queen c4 here. Queen c4 would have a double threat on f7, as well as this. Okay. Bishop f7 is one idea I'm looking at now. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. I can tell I would lose 2 pieces, because after this, the idea of winning this piece, he's got knight takes, and then his bishop is defended. My queen, that's ugliness. Ugly, ugly. Queen c4 still looks good. Looks like I get the pawn back. If he takes on f3, I'm willing to take with the pawn. So we'll go queen c4. I'll take with the pawn if I have to. I also have bishop f3 as a recapture if I need to, and I'll have the bishop pair. But then I won't have this threat on f7 anymore. And actually, that's interesting. It might be better to do that, because if here, and then I take here, he slides to the corner. His king is actually pretty safe. And then when I recapture here, my 3 against 2 is really terrible. This is like the worst 3 against 2 you can have, with 2 doubled here. And then these 2 healthy ones here with a safe king behind it. So, okay. Bishop f6. Okay, that's a good move. Guards f7. I think just bringing this up looks good. Maybe with the idea of a4 and b5, just try to win a piece. Okay, so I don't think the bishop needs to be on d5 anymore. I can just take like this. A bishop b2 would just lose him some time here. Bishop b2, rook here, and then if he tries to attack this pawn, I can just attack the bishop. And if he tries to take, well, I take, and then I ends with rook takes c7, and I'm up a piece. So it's a shame. It's a shame that Valerie's getting so low on time here. Must be bad connection issues, but I think this is a game we can learn something from. And we'll look at it. We'll have to look at it. Okay. Analysis board. I think white will give... I think the computer should give white an advantage here. Lots of pressure on this knight. D5 isn't possible. I've just got domination on the light squares. So that's worth the pawn, and I've got this plan here. And he doesn't have b5 as an option to stop things, because then I just grab with my queen. And even if he plays rook c8, the same problems exist. Yeah. So I'm expecting to see like a piece advantage here for white. Not that great. Queen e7. Just give the pawn back. Give the pawn back, and then... Yeah, so I've got the pawn back, and I've got a little advantage. It's almost about worth the pawn. Let's see if I did this right. The computer likes bishop b5. Completely anti-Morra move. Bishop c4 is the move. No masters have played bishop b5. That's funny. Bishop c4. Okay, e6. This is the main line, and this is a little bit of a side variation of the main line where black gets a6 in. The main variation here is knight f6 and then rook d1, and now black needs to play e5. And you get your bishop to e3, black castles, and then you play rook c1, and just all cylinders go. So all systems go, firing on all cylinders. That's what I meant to say. In the a6 line, black is a little slower, but it's the usual idea is to get the queen to c7. So you can break. The key in the Morra is how do you deal with this pin? So that idea of the rook being lined up against the queen, here it's powerful enough to be worth a pawn. And you saw that theme throughout the game, even with the other rook on c1. So a6 and queen c7 is one plan to get out of that. Yeah, so bishop f4 I think is the move Esserman recommends here. And yep, now you're firing on all cylinders again. And after castles, just bishop b3. Actually, black does pretty well in this system by the numbers. Now, when you look at these numbers, the thing is, among strong players, not a lot of people play the Morra. And that's probably because there's more reliable ways to get an advantage in the Sicilian as white. And the people that are playing the offbeat stuff like the Morra are the lower rated players that want to give themselves a shot to beat the higher rated players. Okay, so you're going to have like a selection bias going on in these kind of statistics. So when you look at these things, at these game statistics from master games, you have to take that into account. I wonder what the Lichess database has, the larger database. Yeah, white does much better when you open up the... White's killing it in this position. 56% wins, but 18% in the master database, because not a lot of masters play the Morra, and it's typically weaker masters going against stronger masters who want to try to swindle them with a Morra win. Okay, queen to b8 is the main move, but our opponent tried rook d8. Queen to b8 though. And then, yeah, the idea is knight a4. So you got the bishop off c4, so that allows knight a4 so that b5 doesn't hit with a fork. And now, knight a4, b5, rook c6. And white's got his pawn back, and he's doing real nice. And if he doesn't play b5, queen back to c7. That can't be that good. We're just going to repeat. There must be something better. h3. Okay, well, if he, say he tries to just develop here, well, now we get into b6 with our knight, and the rook wants to save itself. Well, I mean, there's just all sorts of trouble white can cause here. e5 is the computer move. There's probably other ideas too. So, look at how we're hunting the queen, though. In this line, we've got the queen in our sights both on the diagonal and on the file. She can get out of one, but she can't get out of both. She can go to d7, but then she's just being hunted by the other rook, and now e5 is going to be killer. So, that's the idea in this variation. Black went rook d8, and now knight d5 is the move. And like we explained in the game, black really needs to take. This leads to lots of pressure. Bishop d7 looks like an idea, but it's not listed here. Oh, then you got d takes c6. Bishop e8. Bishop takes f7. Really? King can't take because knight g5. Oh, wow. If king f8, knight e6 is going to win the queen with a fork. If king here, then we're going to set up a smothered mate pattern. Smothered mate is a phenomenal idea to remember. It comes up more than you expect. This is all forcing here. You can look at it. You get that beauty of a mate. Philidor's legacy, they call it. So he's got to go back to e8. And then queen e6, I guess, threatens... What are we threatening here? a5. h3? Just black is completely tied up. Rook d7, queen f7. What's the end game here? Oh, that fork. What if he doesn't play rook d7? Anything else comes to d7, and then there's a mate on f7. What if he just tries this? Queen f7, queen e6. That's not what we want. Ugh. Now knight e6. Rook f8. We can't save our queen. Rook takes d6 as mate. Okay, let's save the queen back here. Knight c5. Wow. I'm down a piece, but they're just completely in charge. So that idea of reinforcing c6 is no good. So he gave up the other knight with knight takes d5. Oh, that hangs the bishop on e7. So now... Right, interesting. So now bishop d7 isn't possible because just queen takes e7, and you got to recapture with the knight, but then you lose your queen, and white's up a piece. So, queen d7, rook e1, bishop f8, knight g5, piling onto this. Oof. Bishop g4, that's the best move, according to the computer. And h3 is what to do about it. Okay, I can see that. I just went for queen c4, and apparently this blows the advantage. Bishop f6, and black is fine. Well, I went for b4 here. Now, queen e7 is the move, but black goes for this. And how far did black get in the actual game here? No, black never made a move here. But we're up a little bit. Well, we missed a chance to do better. So if h3, bishop takes, now queen takes, really lines up on this just the same. And I was thinking he can go like, yeah, he can't. He can't. I mean, I can just take this. Or alternately, I could take the queen and we go into a piece up ending. So his knight is really still frozen, even though it can attack my queen. Maybe now rook c8. Now bishop takes f7 is killer, because if he takes it, he's losing his queen with the discovered check. So king h8, I've got my pawn back. His pawn structure is terrible compared to mine. And I've got pressure. Threatening bishop g6 here, and there's no... I think that would be... Let's say he tries to just get out of the pin now with something like this. Bishop g6. The only move he's got is h6, and then here comes bishop takes h6. So it's just mate city over here on the king side. Now, if he should back up, I break the pin with force and just pile on with knight d4. Okay, knight takes d4, rook takes d4, but he seems to have solved the problem, right? It says queen b6, that hits the rook. Rook d to c4, so I'm still down a pawn, but let's just look at the coordination. My rook's going to come to the 7th, and there's nothing he could do about that. My bishops dominate the center of the board. This bishop isn't doing much of anything. I'm threatening it right now. So he's got to try bishop f6. And now just b3. Just being patient. We're going to not let him take our pawns on the queen side. We're going to still play rook c7 soon. Rook e8 doesn't bother us. Rook a to d8. Bishop d2. I don't understand the point of bishop d2. Maybe just extra guard on e1. I don't know. Apparently there's no rush to get to the 7th rank. Huh. Rook c8. It still likes white. Notice that. I mean, the material is... Black's a clean pawn up here. But white can get that back at any time on b7, it looks like. So anyway. Yeah. More fun with the Morra Gambit. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay feisty.